Hey, so what you're about to hear is an episode from our bi-weekly Patreon show, The Coroner's Report, in which we shoot the shit about the episode we just recorded and also just like life in general. If you enjoy what you hear and you want to get it every week that we don't have a Gumshoes and Dragons episode, you can just go to patreon.com/gumshoesanddragons and it's $5 a month. Now, please enjoy us being little scamps. What? Welcome to the Coroner's Report. It's our behind-the-scenes show about the show that we do, Gumshoes and Dragons. And yeah, this is the first one we're doing.
Woo!
We're going to talk about the very first episode that we did, which is actually not the first episode that we did. It's the first episode we released, but we recorded it 7th, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
That sounds right.
From where we are sitting now, it was the last episode that we recorded, the first episode that we released.
Yes. And people have very correctly noticed on the subreddit and reviews and stuff that like, oh, this one seems different than the second one. The second one seems like more like a first episode because that is the first one.
Eagle-eared listeners.
Now, Anthony, when you were saying this is a coroner's report, I said, woo. Do we think that's the first coroner's report that's elicited a woo?
No way.
No.
Plenty of people were celebrated upon their deaths, I'm sure.
Okay.
That kind of feels like a joke that you would see in like a Knives Out mystery. You know, like there's an eclectic cast of character. Is that what they're going by, a Knives Out mystery? That's what the branding is on those now?
And I don't love that.
Unfortunately, yes.
Because then the first one is Knives Out, a Knives Out mystery.
They should be called a Benoit Blanc mysteries, but nobody remembers that that's that character's name.
I couldn't agree more.
Fill in the blanc.
Are we going to get, and this is what we are here to talk about, are we going to get more Benoit Blanc mysteries?
One is
Because I
coming this
love
fall.
Knives Out.
My dear boy, this
Yes, we got Dead Man.
fall.
Yes.
I haven't even seen a trailer yet.
Let me tell.
I'm
I'll look
so
up who's
excited.
in the cast.
Let's take a guess. Let's take a guess at the cast. I'm going to say, who's the mom from Schitt's Creek? David.
Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara. David.
Eugene Levy.
Oh, JPC,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Dan
hate
Levy.
this.
Christopher Guest.
That's just the cast of Schitt's Creek. JPC, unfortunately, Jeremy Renner is in it, and I know you're not the biggest Jeremy Renner fan.
Although,
It's
I
like
don't
not
think
being a fan of like saltine crackers. Like, what's there to even dislike?
Well, okay. So I think one of my big issues with Jeremy Renner is when he did a bunch of cocaine and threatened his wife with a gun. That thing is.
Oh,
the
I didn't
thing
know about
I'm
that.
I didn't know about that either.
Unfortunately, I'm cursed with the knowledge of knowing that. But I also know that his own snowmobile tried to kill him, and I don't think I've seen him on screen since his like brush with death. So there is a morbid fascination with Jeremy Renner now that I will very much.
Well, because that snowmobile, he stole that snowmobile's screenplay idea.
Yeah.
And so the snowmobile was like, how could you do this to me? I thought we were best friends.
It also invested in his social media app that when it tanked, he lost all its money.
Oh God,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No.
Andrew Scott, Mila Kunis, Josh Brolin, Glenn
Interesting.
Close, Thomas Hayden Church. Wow. Okay. Kerry Washington, Josh O'Connor.
I'm excited for a Knives Out mystery. I think I liked the first one the best. The second one was fine. I enjoyed watching it. I don't think I've ever rewatched it. And I'm hoping that they can like what's it called? Last Crusade me with this third one and really bring me back.
That's a good way of putting it. I never thought of
Last
doing
Crusade
a good
me.
third one as Last Crusading, but that's fair.
Yeah,
Last
I like
Crusade
that a
is
lot.
my favorite Indiana Jones movie.
Oh,
It's just the first one's great, but I think Last Crusade, I just love Sean Connery in it. He's so good. The dynamic is perfect.
Yeah, it's a very charming buddy movie.
The fact that they both fuck the same lady. The fact that
Father and son being Eskimo cousins? Come on.
Please, Inuit cousins.
Inuit cousins, thank you.
So yeah, I guess let's talk about this dumbass show we came up with.
What?
Oh, yeah, this is
We're
the
not-
show, yeah.
We're not talking about Knives Out the whole time?
Oh, we can.
I have thoughts.
It's murder mystery
I
adjacent.
remember when you guys were in here for an LA show, I was in the car with Adel and Aaron, and we were talking about like if you could replace one character or one actor from a movie with yourself, who would it be? And we decided Aaron as Benoit Blanc would have been objectively the funniest possible thing.
Oh, yes.
Aaron, can we get a
The
little...
whole of a
little sample?
donut. Doesn't he say something like that?
It's like, yeah, you nailed it. That was perfect. That was verbatim.
I think, yeah, that sounds really great, Aaron.
Remember how much we cared about Chris Evans' sweater?
Oh, because he
in
looked
that
table
first
amazing.
one?
tennis.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
really cared as a nation.
If he got back into that, I would care all over again.
Yeah, you're right. Me too. If I'm being honest, me too.
My spouse bought a cable knit sweater for our cat just so he could look a little bit like Chris Evans for a photo shoot. It was great.
Oh. All right.
What the fuck are we talking about? Oh, yes. The show.
Yes,
The
that
show.
was my last of my thoughts about Knives Out.
That's just the last of my thoughts, period. Yeah, this show, if you haven't heard the other versions, I guess, so it started off as I listened to Hey Riddle Riddle is a podcast that the other three do together that I listen to and enjoy very much. Although I don't listen to it anymore because I know you all personally now and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But
And we're hoping that everyone who's
Ouch.
listening to this will feel the same way soon.
yeah, oh yeah. No, I still like you all. I just can't. It's like why would I rent the cow when the cow is with? I can access the cow. And
You
work
can
with
text the
every
cow.
2
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah, I could just text the cow whenever I want to.
And that's why the three of us are so rude to our fans.
Please, our cows.
Thank you.
But yeah, Hey Riddle Riddle did a review crew episode about Columbo, and I do a D&D podcast, and I was like, oh, has anybody ever combined those two things? So I did two test episodes, one with the Dungeons and Daddies crew, which is the podcast I do, and then one with the Hey Riddle Riddle crew, and they ended up being really fun to do. And if I felt like the idea had legs, so now we're doing it like a proper ass podcast.
One of the things that we talked about at the very beginning of this process was in Columbo, it always starts with a cold open where you basically see the murder, you see the crime happening, and then the next scene, the second scene after the whatever opening, Columbo is inserted into the story and he's figuring it out, but the audience is already completely aware of what is happening, and that's the way that we kind of conceived of this going.
Yeah.
But then from doing some like test listens, we changed it because the thing with Columbo is that it's a written show and he's a smart detective, and the thing with us is that we're like three dummies who do not know the answer before we solve the crime. So it was maybe a frustrating listen to be like, why are they wasting so much time when I know the answer?
I also noticed a lot of people really enjoying you guys just fucking around and doing improv, and they wanted to get to that as soon as possible. So I thought that was another reason to punt the murder down to post credits. That was initially going to be the very first thing you heard, but now it's just a weird post credits bonus that makes our episodes arbitrarily longer by like 10 minutes.
But I think if people prefer that Columbo way of consuming it, now that's available to them. You can fast forward to the end, hear the murder, and then go back. But now it's not forced upon the audience.
I do put in the episode description for every episode that we post. I put the timestamp for where you would go if you just want to hear the murder first. So I also want people to know that that's an option, because I also have had a lot of people be like, I wish I could hear the murder first. And it's like, hey man, choose your own adventure. You can if you want to. You just have to chop up. You just can't do it while you're like driving your car. I guess you just have to chop up your
you
listening
can, but
experience.
you'd have to be willing to kill a few pedestrians.
You just have to be
That's
good
right.
as fuck at You got to be confident in yourself.
Now, has anybody done a Choose Your Own Adventure podcast where they say, if you want a JPC to do this, fast forward the audio to 45.30?
Just me
Go
as
to
the
episode
producer
8.
pulling my fucking hair out, trying to like timestamp all of the Choose Your Own Adventure shit in the podcast.
Yeah, every timestamp has to be isolated on its own. You just say every fucking possible time on its own and plug that in.
I think that that's messing with the form so much that it would break the form completely. Like to do a Choose Your Own Adventure timestamp. Or it's like when you load up a YouTube video and there's like all those like edit points, like there's just 70 million edit points in there. You're like, oh no, like, how do I get the information I want out of this video?
Actually, Aaron's idea is pretty good though. Of like, what if you just did all the choices as individual episodes? So you go like, if you're going to do this, jump to episode 56 or whatever, and then that has a jump to it. Like, it's a choose your own podcast.
We need 8,000
thing.
episodes.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
every one we say a different bit, and then that bit leads to a different choice. It's
And
a
if you listen to
nightmare.
it in order, it's fucking abysmal.
Here's a fun thing I forgot, is that maybe 7 years ago, Magic Tavern did a Choose Your Own Adventure thing for, I want to say, Alexa?
The Amazon product?
assistant?
Yeah. So we made a bespoke podcast where it was like, if you want Usador to lose his powers, say powers or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and then Alexa would take you to the next chapter based on that decision.
Oh, that's
So-
cool.
I totally forgot. We did do something. The Magic Tavern did something like that, but it was with technology that didn't make you have to like sort of scan forward and back.
It was like conveniently
Interesting.
done.
And how'd
Yes,
it
yes, yes.
go?
Aaron, I don't know.
Perfect.
Well, hey, you did it one time
Perfect.
We
7
cashed
years
the
ago.
check.
So
Yeah.
I
They
actually
didn't come
know- I actually
running
know
back
the
for
answer.
another one, so that tells you something.
Anthony, I have a question. What is your relationship with Columbo like? Like, had you seen all of it? How do you
Aaron,
feel
he's
about it?
dead. They don't have a relationship.
What?
Yeah, we used
I
to,
thought
we used
they
to be
do
tight
lunch.
until he betrayed me. I did not know Columbo at all until like 2 or 3 years ago. I just assumed it was just a normal procedural detective show. And then I think 3 years ago, I watched the Steven Spielberg episode, the one that you reviewed actually. And I was like, oh, this is actually like hugely different from what I expected in such an interesting way. And thankfully I watched it in time to like understand, Poker Faces referencing it and all that kind of stuff. But I started, just randomly picking out, because there's like a bajillion episodes and I'm not going to watch them all in order because every episode's like 3 hours. But I started watching like the best of and just found it so hugely appealing and structurally very interesting. And as did Ryan Johnson, clearly, by making an entire show based on it. And then, listening to you guys talk about it was the sort of the thing that pushed me over the edge of like, what if you did this with role playing? And it turns out, dumb idea to have the Columbo structure, but having you guys solve mysteries every episode, at least for me, has been satisfying. I don't know how it's been for you or the guests. I think for the guests, it's probably not as fun. I don't know. We've talked about this.
Why do you think it's less fun for the guests?
Because they have to just sort of sit there for most of the time and react to a mystery I pre-wrote for them. Will from Dungeons and Daddies actually had an idea that maybe if we end up doing more episodes, I want to try out, which is like, is it possible to improvise a murder? Like, could we bring in the murderer in, and I have a couple details laid out maybe, and then the murderer like improvs their way into how they did it and like reverse engineers the clues or something? I don't know.
There's a couple things, because me as a guest, when I guest on podcasts, the number one thing I want is like as little as an ask as possible, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's like sometimes if you're like, you're a guest on a movie podcast and you have to watch a movie and it's 2 hours long, it's like, okay, that's like an ask a little bit.
Yeah.
But for you, Anthony, it's like, hey, you just show up. I'll give you some information about this character. You'll have to like roll a d20 a few times, and then you can just improvise. The guests that we've had on, by and large, have been improvisers, and I think that's like, as an improviser, the ask as an improviser is like, oh, I just show up and improvise. Perfect.
Versus me giving them a 15-page mystery to read over and memorize all the details of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that there's a very nice balance, because all the guests that we've had, being cognizant of their time, we keep them there for an hour. They improvise for an hour with us. Sometimes they're more passive in it, but when they are active in it, they don't necessarily have to do anything. They're not like necessarily trying to get us to go to information. Anthony's the one who's trying to push us to the information. They're just there to like kind of muck up the wheels a little bit, like they would do on an episode of Columbo.
Mm-hmm.
My vote for it would be, because right now it feels like they are working for Anthony, who's like designed this escape room for us. I would love if this might be very difficult, but if our guests could choose, like, do you want to solve the mystery or do you want to be mucking up the wheels of the mystery? Because I feel like that depends on like personality and how much work they want to do, and what they're interested in doing. And so like one of our detectives would be sitting out and they would be a rotating detective, and then one of us would be the villain and the killer of the week as a different character.
I was thinking
that
we
would be
could
what
also
I would like to do.
I like the idea of giving the guest a choice. That's very cool. I don't even think one of you would need to be the killer in that point. It could just be 4 detectives trying to solve a mystery that I've sort of
totally
planned or something. Like, that's totally cool as well.
But I think we can melt and mess with the format depending on what kind of guest we have. Like, there might be someone who really wants to solve a mystery and someone who like loves being the villainous person that is trying to slow us down.
Yeah, like for instance, when we have Natasha Lyonne on the podcast, it's not going to make any sense for Natasha Lyonne to be the killer, because that's not what she's used to. I've never seen Poker Face. She's not the killer.
Sorry, guys.
Every episode she's the killer and gets away with it. That would be actually, that's you. I just described you and Dexter.
Should I hop on mic now? Is this a good time?
Now, who's this? Because that's not Natasha Lyonne.
Should I hop on mic now?
That's Patty and Selma.
Yeah.
I watched all of Dexter, and then there's been like 4 other Dexter series like post the show Dexter that are like one season episode of Dexter, and I'm like, that's just too much Dexter. I feel like as a
now
culture,
it's winter.
Dexter and Sons. What else?
Dexter for all seasons. Oh my
Dexter
god!
takes Manhattan.
The great Dexter caper.
And like all of them are badly reviewed too. Every time one comes out, the reviews are like, nope. And then they just like, all right, I guess we'll just do it again.
I watched an entire season of one of the new Dexters on an airplane. And I was like, yeah, I don't think we needed this.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed this. Let it lie. I loved like the first couple seasons of Dexter. I thought they were great.
Yeah. I think specifically the second season of Dexter? Is that the John Lithgow season?
I think that might be the third season.
Third? I
Maybe.
loved the John Lithgow season. I thought that was
Scary.
4. 4 was the John Lithgow season.
Holy
Yeah, a
fuck.
little
Sorry,
later.
Casey.
Wow, you got to get pretty far in.
Dude, I watched it all. I watched Dexter past the point where it was where it was any good, and I was always fascinated because the actor playing his sister was his wife who he divorced, or they got divorced, and I was like, what a complicated ask of an actor. It's like not only is this your sister, but it's also your ex-wife.
And it's your sister who you're in love with on the show.
Yes,
But she's dead later. Sorry, spoiler alert, everybody.
He's incestuously in
But
love with his
she's-
sister?
Yes, he's incest.
well, he's adopted. They're not blood. They're not
and
blood.
then
or
she's
whatever,
more
yeah.
in love with him than he is in love with her. But then she dies, but they don't write her out of the show, and she's just sort of his pretend friend that he talks to. But there's like still sexual tension. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Anyway, check out Dexter.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about having Brennan as a guest? Because was it Adel? You reached out to him basically after we finished our 7th episode. I'm like, what if we got the best D&D guy of all time to be in our first episode? And he was such a delight.
Yeah, I reached out to him. He's someone where I'm always like, I don't want to bother him, but it would be nice if he, and he was kind enough to immediately say yes, hop on and crush it.
That was a real pie in the sky choice for me because I really wanted Anthony and Brennan to meet. Like I have a dream that all of my favorite DMs get together and play D&D together. And I feel like that was very exciting to watch you guys because you're so different, but you're also so good and so instrumental in making D&D kind of blow up in the last few years. And I thought that was so cool to have you guys.
I would say
same
he's
room
instrumental.
together. Shush.
Yeah, that was the first time we ever met, and he was so kind and sweet. And he also came on and was like, "Hey, man, I'm super busy and I'm so sorry, but I didn't have time to actually read the massive dossier you sent me. Can we talk through it really quickly?" And then within 6 minutes of us talking about it, he was like, "Oh, cool, got it." And then listening to the episode, you wouldn't know. You would think he had studied the entire case file that I gave him, but he just rolls with it so beautifully. And goddamn, he was just so fucking funny, just infuriatingly so. It's rare that you can say like, "Oh yeah, I know the person who's the single best person at a particular art form." You can be like, "Oh yeah, I played pickup hoops with fucking Jordan." I was like, "Yeah, I was in a play with Daniel Day-Lewis," but like we got to like role play with a guy who filled Madison Square Garden with his imagination. Like that's cool.
That's such a
I
funny
want
way
a
of
shirt
putting
that
that. I
says
love
that.
that.
I watched BLM fill Madison Square Garden with his imagination. I think that's a t-shirt now.
Did you guys have any particular favorite parts of the Brennan episode?
There is a part where Anthony, I believe that Brennan keeps ordering drinks and you keep bringing him like cut in half kobolds, as drinks. And I can't remember the line, but the delivery of it is he goes, "Everything here is so goddamn silly." And I think about that a lot. I really, when I was going back through that episode, it's so hard for me to like prioritize finishing the episode and prioritize me pulling sound clips from the episode. But I'm like, ooh, I think I actually want Brennan Mulligan saying that's so goddamn silly.
I really enjoyed there's moments of like, I think we said like, where are you from? Where do you hail from? He's like, "Oh, well, I'm from New Jersey."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh yes, of course, New Jersey, this, whatever." And then I think he said the thing of like, "This is also goddamn silly." And then he's like, I think trying to nudge him towards like, "Oh, we're staying outside of the USA or whatever that is." And he's like, "I'll take an Arnold Palmer." We're like, "Yes, of course." I think Anthony's like, "Arnold Palmer is half this and half that, but I am a little imp named Arnold Palmer or whatever that is." And then he's like, "My favorite musician is Bruce Springsteen." So I enjoyed the game of like, he clearly was just putting his foot on the gas of like, I'm going to keep bringing up references and you guys have to sort of justify them if you want. I thought that was very fun.
He did want to talk about Earth stuff.
Yes.
That's the whole game from Magic Tavern, right?
Yes.
Is justifying things in universe. I will also say to that effect, Anthony keeps a lore Bible for the show that whenever something like that shit gets mentioned, where we're like, okay, so New Jersey is now part of this universe.
I love that little sigh that you just did.
There is a dragon named Jesus Christ who's the mayor of the town. Like we have to include all that stuff because that the rule in improv, it's like the first person to say it makes it true. So we have to give that stuff credence in our world. That's very fun, and it'll be impossible to keep up with.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I obviously loved the suspenders part. That was haunting. Where they were connected to and how they were connected. Pretty disturbing.
Aaron, are you avoiding saying Mons Pubis for some reason?
No.
Okay.
No. No.
Great.
No.
That's a character from
No.
Andor, right?
Yes.
Mons Pubis.
Still don't necessarily have it clean of Aaron saying it, but
I said it.
Oh, did you say it?
Yeah, Adel was talking while I said it, but it's there.
Shit.
Oh, I'll be able to isolate your tracks.
Great.
Yeah, not a problem.
Not a problem. I also he's so good at the thing that I aspire to be good at, which he's such a good hired gun. He can drop into a space, immediately assess the comedic sensibility of the group that he's in, and then adjust based on that. Obviously, he has such a clear comedic voice, and he is who he is wherever he goes. But I noticed he did that when he got to Hey Riddle Riddle. He's does the fastest scan, and then he adjusts the way he's joking based on the room that he's in, which I think is so generous to not just be this is who I am and I'm going to be who I am wherever I go, which I love comedians like that. But I love the kind of comedian that can tweak and adjust and assess.
Yeah.
Him coming in and being able to be dirty is a complete assessment of us immediately being these motherfuckers are perverts. This is a group of sex pests. I think I can get away with this.
Yeah, he's comedically multilingual.
Yes, that is a much more
it.
succinct way of saying it. Thank you, Anthony.
So I want to talk a little bit about your characters. So obviously, if you listen to the second episode, we get a little bit more detail on our protagonist detectives. A lot of the edits and changes and decisions we were making early on was how much introduction to include of our detectives in the very first episode, and we kind of erred on the side of less just to get to the action quicker. Some people wanted more, but that's fine. You get it in the next episode. I'm curious what went into your thoughts for coming up with your particular criminal detectives.
I felt every time I play D&D now, I try to put the tent pole even further from something I've done recently. And I do a ton of high elves while I play, and I don't play a lot of men. And so Moose felt like something that I was trying to like throw myself in a completely different direction. And then also based on what Adel and JPC did, I wanted to be kind of the closest to Columbo in spirit, like kind of small, like the way that he looks and moves in his outfit, like that. I was trying to Peter Falk up my character a little bit to have him be in the spirit of the show.
And I like that very quickly we turned your character into a complete simp.
Yeah. Yeah. Immediately, that felt correct and fun.
I think with Brass Camp, I typically in the long-term D&D game that JPC and I did with some friends that went 5 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I played an archer, like a ranger. I like long range characters, like being able to sit in the bushes and shoot arrows, fling arrows. So I really enjoyed that, but I feel like I had done it for so long. And then somewhat recently, Anthony, you had DM'd some stuff for Magic Tavern, mm-hmm. where I played sort of a bigger dopey goon, and I really enjoyed that. So I was like, let me play that, but with maybe a twist, maybe being some sort of creature. So I was the Minotaur, and I think that was fun to sort of be like, he's a creature. He immediately stands out because of his size, but he also is, even if he was 5'2" or something, he would look different because he is a different type of creature. But he has no sort of inherent, maybe stronger, I guess, but no sort of inherent magical qualities or anything. I just thought that might be interesting to test out.
Yeah, people had asked if we had designed our characters like together in a way to like cover certain roles, and we kind of did a little bit with that. I decided that I wanted to play a wizard because I feel like of the three of us, I'm the most comfortable with Dungeons and Dragons. I've definitely been
Yep.
playing it the longest. But I didn't want to like necessarily like lump spell casting onto any of you guys because it's we'll see in an upcoming episode, but it is hard to remember that you have spells. So I wanted to be a wizard, but more than anything, I wanted to tailor make a character that would not be good at doing the task that we were developing. It's in a future episode, an episode that hasn't come out, but you asked me or Anthony at one point to roll investigation, and I said, well, my character's not really good at investigation. And you're like, you're a detective. But the whole point of the show is that we are forced into being detectives. We're not
that's a
like,
good point.
we weren't like set out to be detectives.
Trained, yeah.
We're doing it, because we are making amends for crimes that we have committed. So it made sense to me that my character would not be a good detective. And then I found a game, that we kind of play around with in later episodes about not wanting people to know that I am a wizard, and being able to like use spells that have wizard knowledge, but also being very clear that I'm not a wizard. I don't know any wizards. And then the whole thing of being like a master of disguise, I thought it would be fun to play with a character that I can invent mini backstories for. So I always have like a connection if I want to have a connection to a thing because I had lived a life undercover as a thing in a different context. It's just fun to like constantly mine backstory, which was my main motivation for creating Spoof McNivens.
A great name, by the way.
Very
Well,
good name.
and I think Anthony, we talked about this. Maybe it was offline, maybe it was on an episode. But the name Spoof McNivens is just spoon and knife, kind of morphed around into two things.
Also, was it Anthony who suggested the name Moose as a joke? Maybe it was Adel. Someone, when we were talking about the show, and then someone was like, and everyone will play like Moose or something. And then my eyes turned completely white. And then
Like
I started
Storm?
like leaning back. Yeah.
Like when Storm's using her powers.
Yeah.
And then
It
you
was
said,
really
Adel, do
scary.
you know what happens when
When a moose gets
when an anthe gets struck, when a moose gets hit by lightning?
People had also asked, because there's a fun moment in this Brennan episode where the whole crux of the crime is Brennan's character getting the dealer to say fire, or getting the other gambler to say fire so that the dealer fires on him. But Brennan brought up when we were recording that water could also like make the shark dealer like wet himself, like pee himself, because like water is a verb.
Yeah.
And we when we were doing some of the retakes for this to like kind of blend it in, because we recorded it last and we made it first. We changed some of that subtly so that like, oh yeah, we added the fact that the dealer was wetting himself like into the story. And I think people caught on to that. They're like, oh yeah, the water thing. I think it's like, it's one of those like fun moments where in a lot of the things that we do, Aaron, Adel, and I, for Hey Riddle Riddle, we don't really ever go back and like record things to re-justify. We never like do second takes. But in this show,
What,
we have done
us?
a lot of that.
Us. We don't do quality control on Hey Riddle Riddle? Are you joking?
It's not necessarily even quality control as much as it is like consistency control. Like it's like narrative consistency. But it's fun to get to play with something that is long form, more narrative, and you can go back and like, fix things like that you didn't or weren't necessarily aware of.
I have a question for Anthony. I've said before that if I ever become a billionaire, the first thing I do is pay Anthony $1 million a year to write little puzzles for me.
Billionaire, and you're going to pay him $1 million?
A year.
For little
yeah.
puzzles?
Yeah, just like a couple little puzzles.
Yeah.
Is that not enough?
Yeah, I feel like it's not enough. $1 billion. is
Okay.
a lot of
JBC
money.
will be negotiating for me from here on because I was immediately willing to take that deal.
But like Anthony set up an Only Connect game for my birthday last year, and it's like my favorite thing I've ever done on a birthday. I love you. I feel like you're really primed. Your brain works really well in setting up puzzles and like escape room type things and D&D mysteries. How do you approach writing these? With like the Reiko one, are you being specific about the like being familiar with her comedy? Like how do you approach each one, and is it different each time?
I mostly just yet let autism take the wheel.
I love that song.
Yeah, Bruce Coburn.
I generally just sit down with Portia, who is our design consultant, or she's basically the person in my life who actually knows D&D, like actually, because I've done a D&D podcast for like 5 years, but I never properly learned the rules or how the spells work or anything like that. So we'll sit down and try to find interesting quirks
This is sacrilege to hear this.
Yeah. We'll sit down and either examine like, what are interesting quirks about spells? And in this case, it was like, command. How could you use the word command on its own to cause a murder that you would therefore not come back to you? And so we sort of reverse engineered come from, okay, well, maybe the answer is command. Okay, well, then we have to make up some other shit to justify why magic can be used in this one instance, but not others, which is why everybody's naked and the spell broth thing and all this kind of stuff, which I don't mind doing because it actually makes our world feel a little bit different when I have to have like these weird things like, you can melt scrolls of spells into this liquid and then apply it to a fucking sword. And it does it like, that's kind of neat. But yeah, no, it's mainly just like, is there a puzzle involved or some sort of quirk that you can learn the system of rules that are at play and then figure out what happened based on those rules. So usually like in a normal kind of setting, you don't have to come up with crazy rules and shit. You just have to come up with a really creative way of killing people that ideally the audience hasn't seen before. Again, Poker Face is incredible for this. But in a fantasy world, it's a lot easier because I could be like, there's this magic thing that does one particular thing and nothing else. Which, I mean, we could talk more about Reika's episode. Like all the candy in her episode was a very specific, like, I don't know, this is fun. Maybe we can make this a thing that you have to learn about. Is that interesting for you guys having to learn what these new items and weird rules that I've set up in every world are? Or is it like a pain or?
Oh no, I love it.
I think it's a blast.
The hard part for me is that I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was 14 and I am 36 now. So I like when we were talking, there was
8 years.
So 8 years. In Reika's episode, like you, Anthony, had brought up the Tarask oil or the Tarask. And I think it was like, I understood what that was as an item, but I'm like, well, I'm playing a character that doesn't like necessarily know. So it's like, it's hard for me sometimes too, where I'm like, okay, turn off the part of my brain that like knows how to metagame or like min-max and knows like all, because when we did some D&D stuff on the Hey Riddle Riddle Patreon with our buddy Rush Howell, who's a fantastic GM. And when we were doing that, I wanted to I played a character named Thunk, who was like low intelligence, like intelligence dump stat. And it's very fun to play like a dumb character that even when you have figured something out, you're like, okay, I the player know this, but my character doesn't. But how can I get this like kind of dumb character to get to there? Like what's the path that they take to get to there? So it is like a fun and interesting challenge for me to be like, I know all this stuff about D&D. I know all this stuff about spells. How can I like turn that stuff off? And so I take the same approach to what we do in Hey Riddle Riddle. It's like, well, we're on a podcast to solve riddles. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to do anything else. I'll just do anything else, and then maybe we get the answer, you know?
I feel like you're playing to exactly my difficulty level, Anthony. Like, it feels like the exact right fit of, like, difficulty in a class that you're taking. That I feel really challenged by it, and it's really hard, but it's like lighting up my brain, but it's not impossible to suss out. Like it's not so inside baseball that it's not accessible to my brain that's played a lot of D&D, but not as much as like JPC.
And as someone who's done so many escape rooms, over 100, same analogy as Aaron, or new analogy as Aaron was saying, but like
no,
with
you
escape
can copy
rooms,
off mine.
Thank you. I was looking at your answer the whole time, where it's like I've done escape rooms where a group of 5, we solve it in 20 minutes, and we're like, that was $60 a person. We had an hour and we did it in 20 minutes. I mean, we had fun, but it sucks. Versus like the opposite side of that is we have 10 people, we don't solve it, and then the person's like, here's how you were supposed to get out, and we're like, how was anyone supposed to know that? Like, unless you know Braille off the top of your head or whatever it is, it's like, how is anyone supposed to get that? So I feel like this is right in the pocket, like Aaron's saying, of being really fun and interesting and somewhat challenging, but not impossible, not frustratingly so.
I feel very grateful / lucky that the JPC is intentionally dumbing himself down, and that it's a good difficulty level for you two. Because I live in constant fear that in any given episode is going to be like 10 minutes and you solve it, and then that episode is either 10 minutes or we just vamp for 50 more minutes.
So
there was an episode, I think it's episode 4, which we'll talk about when we talk about it, that I figured out pretty quickly, and then I was like, oh, how do I stretch this out for as long? It brings me, though, Anthony, to another question that we had asked, which was, have there ever been situations, or do you think there will be situations where the murderer absolutely gets away because we were not able to solve the clues in the allotted time and we didn't pick up? Because we've come close a couple times, and I felt like there have been also been some times where we've gotten a gentle hand from the GM to kind of like nudge us to the solution.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think you will ever have us, not solve the murder?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have you guys fail any of the first few murders because it feels like that's a weird entry into the show. It's like, welcome, and these guys aren't good at the job that I assigned them to. But I think eventually, I'll definitely want to, especially if we ever want to set up like a proper big bad, like a Moriarty character who keeps getting away and coming back, or that kind of thing.
Can we try to get Andrew Scott?
Oh
He's in the new Knives Out.
He's in the new Knives, so we already have an in because we know those movies.
Yeah, because we've seen those movies.
I actually do have a Ryan Johnson connect.
Use it to get Natasha Lyonne's email. That's the only thing we need.
Use it to get Andrew Scott's phone number.
Well,
Aaron.
he's gay, so I have bad news for you.
I can fix him!
Wow,
I thought this was
conversion.
going to be
Yeah.
Anthony's big gay people can't use phones thing. I was like, Anthony, by the way, way out of line with that
Yeah, I
one.
love, but it is really good stand-up. It's
I'm bi, so I can
elegantly
only
written
text.
stand-up.
I'm curious if we'll ever get to a point where Anthony, your planning meets something that's maybe not crystal clear in the D&D world in terms of like, do mage hands have fingerprints or something like that? Like, I'm curious if we'll run up against something where you're sort of setting your own rules for
I
something
think that's probably something I would just bullshit in the moment. Like
Okay.
in that specific example, I'd be like, oh yeah, Mage Hand leaves fingerprints. And it's like a magical fingerprint that if you succeed in an Arcana roll, you can whittle down which of these people might have casted it or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think one of the nice things about my day job being working in video games is that I'm pretty good at bullshitting up mechanical justifications for me being lazy.
I truly hope we get into stuff like Mage Hand having fingerprints, because that is the kind of bullshit that will animate online vitriol in a way that I think will make our show very popular. I can't wait to see the diehards in the comments being like, Mage Hand have fingerprints? And then someone's like, actually in this, there are some forbidden realms where Mage Hand can leave finger. And it's just like, oh, yes, drive the hate.
Every wizard has a trace energy. Trace Energy is a great character name, by the way.
Dude, Trace Energy.
Trace Energy.
He's so hot.
Dibs.
So I'll write that down because I do.
Dibs.
I told Anthony this for a recording, but I do keep a list of names that my character has gone by before in other contexts. And so, Trace Energy. That's
You get two for the price of one. There's Trace Energy, and then there's Trey Senergy.
Oh, I like that too.
Trace Energy also may be the name of that a character that we had on our Bigfoot episode or whatever. Oh yeah, Trace Evidence. Trace Evidence, right? That sounded so familiar.
Why don't we talk a little bit about the challenges of doing a detective show in a world where I would say we're all pretty much aligned on the fact that we don't love cops or the carceral system.
Great question.
Yeah, this was like one of my, when Anthony like pitched the show and pitched doing a show where we're like detectives solving murders, I was like, yes, I love the idea. I'm a fan of the genre, but I do think it does, especially that entire genre of like the Law and Order of it all. It does like conform society into this vision of what the future can be. I will recommend a book by Alex, and his last name starts with a K, and I know I will fuck it up, so I
just
will not.
guess when you're Googling
Yeah,
it.
it's just Alex K. Called Copaganda that came out earlier this year, and it's an excellent read, but it's
Alex Karakatsanis?
Anthony, you nailed it in one. The name I was afraid of saying.
That's me on master level Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
I like to solve the puzzle. Alex
But it's an excellent book. He's like a former attorney, civil rights attorney as well. But it just talks about like the criminal punishment system and how, obviously like our small podcast is not doing anything to change the system of criminal punishment in the United States, but it was one of the things that I thought was like a fun challenge for us was to, instead of playing in a world based off of the reality of the world that we live in, play in a world where we can envision a different way of, the state dealing with problems of crime. And there's no way to get around the fact that, like, the criminal punishment system is in part, tied into our system of capitalism and how, like, you need surplus labor and you need like surplus people to be incarcerated. It's also like a cudgel that you can use against people to like keep working in your job, or else, you might end up being criminalized and punished and, yada, yada, yada. But it's like the thing that I thought was an interesting challenge for us was creating the system where certain crime is not necessarily punished, but you try to like reform the person and the damage that they're doing to society. So we came up with this idea of the Tower of Rehabilitation, which is not like jail. It is not prison. It is not carceral. It is where people go after they commit, a crime to make amends to the people and the relationships that they wronged. And in the case of murder, which is like something that is most severe, the idea that we are community detectives who have engaged in something like that in the past, and now we have to like make amends for that thing by helping, reduce the amount of violence and murder that exists in the world. I thought that there was like a non-perfect, so don't get me wrong, like we're not trying to do anything like perfectly, but solution in there to be, ACAB and be anti-carceral and also like present this like Columbo-esque show.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Very well put.
I'm interested in eventually if we get to, ever visit the Tower of Rehabilitation, because then we'll have to come up with like, what do we think would rehabilitate a murderer in a way that, is respectful and cool.
It's just exactly like
it's just prison.
is in
there's also a lot of really cool reading about this. Marian Kaba, who's a Chicago activist, has a lot of stuff about like what's it called? Not restoration circles, but like basically people that commit crimes. Like when you commit a crime, there's also like property crimes. Like when you steal from a store, who fucking cares? Like, oh yeah, I committed violence against CVS. Like fucking grow up. But like if you commit like a violent crime against a person, sending a person off to jail does not do anything to, like, I guess maybe there's a little bit of like vengeance that you get out of that, but it doesn't really do anything to have both of the people who have been a victim of the crime and a perpetrator of the crime have any accountability for the thing that they did or be able to repair and like move on with their life, where these restoration circles, which I'm using the wrong word again, it's not restoration, restoration circle sounds like a D&D spell.
I think it might be.
But it's like the idea that you can be in community with the community that you have hurt and take accountability, admit that I did this thing. One of the craziest things about our carceral system is it encourages people to never take any accountability. Like you want to say not guilty because you want to be not guilty. And even if you are guilty of like a crime or causing violence to like another person, you are incentivized to not take accountability for that thing. Whereas these like give you accountability and let you repair and be in community with people. And I think that there's a very interesting, and there's also like pilots of them doing this in Chicago for lesser crimes and things like that have shown really promising and positive feedback from the people that have participated in them. I just think that whole thing is very, very cool. And it's like it's one of those things where it's like people might be listening to this who have never heard of this before, because the problem is not that these solutions exist. The problem is there's like not political will or political imagination for these systems. Right. Whereas there is a lot of money behind building prisons and building, especially in the fucking day and age that we live in, like concentration camps in the United States for immigrants, where that shit is all like people are like selling alligator Alcatraz t-shirts and are like proud that there's a detention facility in their town because it means jobs for their fucking town. And it's just like it's a backwards way to view the world because we lack the imagination to see a better way.
Guantanamo Bay has a gift shop.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
It also is a helpful and eye-opening thing to be inside of this. And I felt this way too when Hayward or Riddle did a like Batman villain arc maybe like 4 years ago, is when you are a comedian and you do something that is like in world of something like a cowboy thing or a rom-com thing, there's certain tropes and language that you use that's just like second nature because you're used to seeing those things. And it's so crazy how much during the recording of this, like that language that we're so used to hearing and using in these like genre specific things are so ingrained in us and our guests' brains. Like I have to be actively trying and thinking to not be using
slurs.
the language.
That's just you, Aaron.
That's just me.
The rest of us don't have a problem with that.
Every day's
No,
a
but
struggle.
it's like you just don't realize how much this like detective PI trope that you're like used to watching 1,000 movies and TV shows of.
Yeah.
It's like every single thing, every cliche is a part of this bigger problem that you're talking about.
That's what that book Propaganda is really about. It's about investigating like media portrayals of cop propaganda. Like how many like news articles are just reading verbatim police reports provided by the police. It's like having the fucking Cookie Monster try to solve the crime of like who took the cookie out of the cookie jar. It's like, well, it's so pervasive. And me as like a 10-year-old who like watched nonstop Law and Order daytime TV, it's like, yeah, this shit does infect your brain, and it is really, really hard to like dig your way out of it. But a worthwhile challenge and something that I hope is not lost on people when they listen to the show.
Yes.
And Anthony, one more time with the author of Propaganda.
Shit, I think I closed the window. Is Alec Karakatsanis. Alec Karakatsanis.
And
With a
then
glottal
perfect
stop?
gymnastics, hands up, looks at the judges, looks at the audience.
Bow.
8.7 from France.
The interesting thing about doing the way that our first two episodes came out, because we had the Brendan episode, the Reka episode. The Reka episode was literally the very first episode that we recorded, and it was a long time ago because we've been banking them and like messing with the audio, making sure that everything was ready for our launch. The Reka thing was awesome because when we had recorded that Reka episode, we had Reka on Hey Riddle Riddle at that point, but I don't think that no one really knew Reka. Aaron, did you know Reka at all? You would maybe cross paths in LA?
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
But then a little bit after we recorded that episode, like months after we recorded that episode, we did the Joko cruise, and I ran into Reka on the Joko cruise like the first day when all the performers got on the ship. And I was like, oh, you probably have no memory of this, but you did an episode of this show that we recorded that hasn't come out, and like we weren't planning on having it come out very recently. And Rega was like, oh yeah, I do not remember that at all. But we pretty quickly became like fast friends, and to the point where we're on like, or at least Adel and I are on this like couples cruise group chat with some of the people that we met on which is also like blowing up on my phone right now as we speak.
I feel like when I wake up at 2 p.m. every day, it's like you have 538 notifications, and I'm like, what's going on? And it's all the cruise chat.
I do think that I have to credit this show though with that, because I don't think I would have necessarily had as much to talk with Reka about if we hadn't have recorded this like episode that she didn't remember when we were on that cruise. She's another one of those people that is like a very fun, very versatile improviser who can kind of like slip into any situation and kind of like pick up the vibe. We recently had her back on to do a improvised episode of Hey Riddle for
which
our
was
Patreon.
called
Ray Cakes, Rakes, and K-Cups, or
There you
something to that
And Anthony,
effect.
one more time with the
Yeah,
author
she should
of
be
Propaganda.
Alec.
But people loved that episode, and I think that it's the secret sauce to this show is it's like, yeah, have great people on as guests, and like people will really, really enjoy listening to it.
Turns out.
Hopefully. We don't know. We're pretty early.
Well, anecdotally, we know that some people have really enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah. Half this country voted for Trump, so what are you going to say about taste? Let me jump into some questions from the Hey Riddle Riddle Patreon. Soon the Discord. By the time you hear this, because you're hearing this, you have access
I'll be long dead.
Yeah, we'll all be dead, sorry.
Yeah, you have to solve Aaron's murder.
You have access to the Gumshoes and Dragons Discord if you want to, chat there and ask questions and all that kind of shit. So Chris asks, does Anthony come up with all the murder and mystery ideas and puzzle pieces? Would the Clue crew ever submit their own ideas to Anthony and he mold them in? I don't know. Do you guys have interest in doing that?
I would love to. I think especially if it becomes a thing down the line where it like melts a little and Moose gets frozen in ice for a couple weeks and then I'm a murderer. Like, I think especially if I'm not solving the mystery, I would love to pitch a genre to you, or like what's the word I'm looking for? Like just like what you're talking about, like picking one little D&D device out
Yeah.
and saying like that would be an interesting twist if you use twist
isolating
for
a moment.
something.
Aaron, I love the idea of you being this could be a separate character from Moose, but you being a killer that's frozen in a block of ice.
Oh, please, Anthony, please.
That's Mr. Freeze,
Venmo's
right?
Anthony $80.
Yeah.
Mr.
Please,
Freeze.
Anthony.
She stabbed everyone with icicles.
Yay.
There's because part of the Patreon, when you sign up, is you can submit like your name maybe to appear in a future episode as like a side character or an item that you can like submit as well. I do think that there's maybe even the potential, down the line of people being able to submit like a murder device, right? Like casting a command spell that makes someone fire, something like along those lines that we could potentially feature in a future episode. I'm really just trying to offload some of the work that Anthony has to do because the three of us just have to like show up and goof off. And Anthony, you should see, I mean, we might release these one day as well as like DM notes, but he literally writes like 15 pages per episode of like all the shit that, exists in the world and exists in this crime. So it is, Anthony's doing a lot of the narrative work behind this. So if any one of us were to like pick up the narrative work, I do think that we'd be in for kind of a rude awakening as to how much work goes into it.
15 pages.
You do, work together.
Yeah.
He writes about 15 pages for each episode. And then for Come Shoes and Dragons, I want to say you have like a grimoire, a tome of hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Yeah, it's just my mind palace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now our thoughts for the
yuck.
right now our thoughts for the Patreon are this 5 and ad-free episodes, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point we'll have to do something for 10, I believe, and that's probably going to be case files amongst other things. But we've also talked about some of you all doing like monthly, like basically each of us doing 2 or 3 monthly little D&D type adventures that everybody else sort of plays in. Are you guys like excited about DMing or hesitant, or how do you feel?
I love doing it. I think the one thing that makes me feel self-conscious is when I'm DMing for people who have like a ton of experience playing D&D.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think like I lean more into like the mystery solving improv part of it, and then that gets rid of that level of self-consciousness. But I love anytime I get to like DM or DM adjacent anything. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay.
I also think it's really fun something I've never experienced before is DMing like in someone else's world, because I do love using the world of Golden Lake and existing in the world of Golden Lake. I think it's also like a fun challenge as a DM, because every time I've ever ran a campaign or something like that for people, it's been like, oh, I'm going to invent my own world and, do it in that. But to have them all like take place kind of in universe, I think is also really fun, especially if they like feature the characters that we play or have some tangential connection to the characters that we play. It's a fun challenge. GMing is like one of these things where it is so fun to do, and I have like mad respect for my friends that do it, that are good at it. And I've also played a lot with people that really like it and are not good at it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is one of those things where it's like, it's such a heavy hand. There's a million people in this world that if they had reached out to us to be like, I want to GM a podcast for you guys, I'd be like, no. But putting it in like Anthony's hands, it's like, oh man, like this guy is fucking capable, So it's big shoes to fill in.
I think I'm very excited to DM. I think my worry is because the only sort of DM experience I have, I think for the most part, is doing on Hey Riddle Patreon the Disney Twins like one shot fun shot things,
which I repeatedly have told you is the funniest thing on the internet. And if you were not cowards, you would make that a full series.
I think my big concern is with that is if I DM something for this, I think I'm going to be so lost and confused and frustrated if you three aren't constantly killing every single character I place in front of you.
Yeah.
I'll be like, why aren't they just killing everyone?
I don't know, does that sound like us? Realistically,
Yeah.
do we all the time kill every character you play?
Aaron, you're like
it's
Nicolas
an 8
Cage.
year long inside joke to drive you insane.
Aaron, you're like Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas, but
Thank
replace
you.
alcohol with murder.
Thank you.
And
Just one
replace
more
a little
Vada
bit
Kedavra, I can handle it.
a vodka cadabra.
Ooh.
Ooh. Lady Gaga writes that down furiously in a notebook.
I'm excited by that. I'm excited about like doing adventures like that have that shuffle us around in our various roles, because I do think one of the things that I've like found really fun about what we do on Hey Riddle Riddle is that like we jump around all the time to like the various things that we do. And this project is, I've done actual plays before, so that's not actually that, novel to me. But to play the same character over and over and over again is like, it's an interesting challenge, and it's something that I'm like looking forward to doing, but it's like a muscle that I haven't stretched in like quite a long time. So it's fun to have something like to look forward to down the road where you can kind of break out of that mold a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know if, are we cool with like teasing upcoming guests?
Yeah, why not?
Oh yeah.
I will say maybe my favorite.
They're so stinky. Yeah. Now your turn. You tease
Teasing
them.
everyone. I do think maybe my favorite episode we've recorded so far is the crossover, Anthony, that you had with us and the Dungeons and Daddies folks.
Yes.
Because that energy was just so fun and chaotic of like, let's all find our footing and let's figure out what this is. I just thought that was really exhilarating. So I'm excited for people to listen to that one.
Yeah, it's really interesting role playing with you guys versus role playing with them, because you all have an improv background, and I think with that comes, and you all know each other really well, obviously, and I don't know you as well. So with that comes like a certain amount of, you have respect for each other's like decisions and give space for the other person to explore what they're doing and like support each other and stuff. And the daddies, we just have what Freddie refers to as a healthy disrespect for each other. We don't give a fuck about what anybody wants. We just want to get our joke in and see if we can ruin their shit. And having those two forces combine in the crossover episode was pretty fun. But I hope people enjoy that.
To me, it was like being at the table. It was like Aaron, JPC, and I being at the table of the Thanksgiving episode of The Bear. Where it's just like,
yeah, for me it felt
where
like,
I'm just like, don't move, I don't want to get hit with a fork. Like,
I felt like I was on a battlefield, like the Jon Snow one where he's like sort of surrounded. It felt like that, but I kept making like slow motion eye contact with Beth May while like an angelic voice plays. Where I'm like, I hate that we're on opposite sides of this.
You know what? We are so excited about talking about that episode that I say that hasn't come out yet. It won't come out for weeks. I say, fuck it. Let's just stop recording now. Let's go record the behind the scenes episode of that episode and just really dig into it. But before we do go, I wanted to, since obviously this is on Patreon and people will be able to comment, I want people to comment and let us know. And it'll be doubly funny if you comment some guests that we've already had, because the first 7 episodes we've already recorded. But who are some guests that you would love to see on the show? We have a list as well. We're excited about a lot of upcoming guests, but
especially someone you don't think we're familiar with. That is like in the D&D pocket of the world that you don't know we've seen.
And just because we have primarily been reaching out to improvisers does not mean that we want to exclusively have improvisers on as guests. So let us know in the comments. This is like a call to action, right? This is something people do.
And if you have Andrew Scott's phone number, send it to us.
Really? If you have his phone number and a phone number to a conversion camp, I guess?
Yes, we want him to play Moriarty on this show too. So,
also, if you have really any ideas for like, hey, you guys should put this on your Patreon, or you guys should do an adventure like this with these characters. I already found somebody in, I think, the subreddit who had an amazing idea, which is like, what if in a future episode somebody successfully gets rehabilitated at the tower and is now out and like joins you guys to solve a mystery alongside you?
That's
that
great.
is such a fun way to work in having a returning guest on the show, that is, and it also like goes to show that the restorative justice, that's what it is, system works.
Yeah.
And I realized his name is Alec. So I was saying, Alex, we do not know this man's name, but go buy the book. I bought the book. You don't need to know his name. Go
with
read
a
the
pun
book.
as strong as propaganda. Everything else kind of disintegrates.
All right.
We
have to come up with a sign off for this show.
Fuck.
Okay, everyone shut up for a second. Aaron, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Bye.
Bye.
He's spoken Simlish.